let's talk about the power of intention in healing. Because once again, our minds are capable of a lot more, and the belief and understanding that we are capable of healing ourselves is incredibly, incredibly important. So, I brought down a little bit so I don't lose track since I'm still healing and I do have a tiny bit of brain fog going on. But but yeah, the things that we can see and touch that appear separate in our world, such as rocks, oceans, animals, people, are examples of this explicate order of creation. However distinct they might seem from one another, they are connected in a deeper reality in ways that we simply cannot see from our place in creation. We saw all things that appear separate from us as part of a larger totality, which, we can call implicate order. Um, Summarizing it, the new form of perception might perhaps be called invisible totality in flowing motion, let's say. So, what we see as a world is in reality the projection of something more real that is occurring at a deeper level of creation. The deepest level is the original, the implicated in the view of as above, so below, as within, so without. So, patterns are contained with patterns completing themselves and differencing only in scale. The elegant simplicity of the human body offers us a beautiful example of a hologram, um, on that is already familiar to us. The DNA, any part of our bodies contains our genetic code, the complete DNA pattern for the rest of the body, regardless of where it comes from. Whether we take a sample of our hair, a fingernail, our blood, the genetic pattern, and that make us who we are is always there in the code, and it's always the same. So the DNA, it basically means that we are mirroring what's within. So ultimately our connection to the quantum essence that links us to everything else reminds us that we are ourselves the creators. As such, we can express our deepest desires from healing, abundance, joy, peace, everything from our bodies to our relationships. It's actually incredible how it's really hard for us to understand because of the way that we've been taught and how we've been learning everything, that when we resonate sickness, we are attracting sickness. When we are resonating luck, we're going to attract more luck. The hardest part comes when you're sick as hell and you're feeling like you're dying. How on earth are we supposed to feel the other way around, right? To attract the opposite. I believe it happens as you heal, because it's not just this part, it's also the physical one, it's also many things at once. So when everything conjoins together, there's a moment which I call like the click moment, where you finally understand and you finally start acting accordingly and feeling, because that's where it happens, the moment that you actually feel it. Say, for instance, you've been in bed for like, I don't know, a year with Lyme disease, it's possible, right? And then suddenly, out of nowhere, you start feeling that there is a possibility that you could possibly stand up and walk. That's where it happens, because you start emanating, let's say, the vibe that resonates with that energy, and that starts happening. Same with the people you attract, doctors, the whatever the hell you do. But it's so subtle, and we are not used to knowing that we have this power, that we just simply say that's a coincidence, and usually it's not. Same as the people we attract in our lives are actually healers. So we are all healers, that will heal the other person's luck, and the other way around. So that's beautiful and weird at the same time, but amazing, right? So our oldest, wisest, and most cherished traditions remind us that there is, in fact, a language that speaks to the divine matrix, a wordless language that doesn't involve the common external signals of communication we make with our hands and bodies. It comes from a form so simple that we already know how to speak it fluently. In fact, we use it every day in our lives. It's the language of human emotions. So, modern science has discovered that throughout every emotion we experience in our bodies, we also undergo chemical changes such as pH and hormones that reflect our feelings. Throughout the positive experiences of love, compassion, forgiveness, and the negative emotions such as judgment and envy, each of us possess the power to affirm or deny our existence at every moment of the day. Additionally, the same emotion that empowers us within our bodies extends this force into the quantum world beyond our physical bodies. It can be helpful to think of the divine matrix as a cosmic blanket that begins and ends in the realm of the unknown, encompassing everything in between. This blanket has been you know, has many layers of depth, and it's everywhere all the time. It's already in place. Our bodies, lives, everything we know exists and takes place within its fibers. From our aquatic creation in our mother's wombs to our marriages, divorces, friendships, careers, everything we experience can be conceived as creases in the blanket, right? So, this is our relationship with the divine matrix. It has given us the power to imagine, dream, and feel the possibilities of life from within the matrix itself, so that we can reflect back to ourselves that we have created. Both ancient traditions and modern science have described the workings of this cosmic mirror. Obviously, we don't know everything about the divine matrix, you know, and yeah, we are working on it, and actually, we are rediscovering it. So yeah, uh, as amazing as it is, basically, we have to keep reminding ourselves that even the worst of it, even a disease, is actually created by us in a way, and also our ancestors, which is a whole different topic that we carry and we basically forgot about. But it's very important to understand this mirror effect, because understanding this gives you the power back to understand and know, and try to bring the power back to you and understand that the body has capability of healing on its own. So yeah, um, even though scientists are not even sure where the divine matrix comes from, and we are also aware that we could study it from another hundred of years and still not find the answers. That's what we always call the ether, right? So just as life is built from the four chemical building blocks that create our DNA, the universe seems to be founded on the four characteristics of the divine matrix, which make things work the way they do. The key to connecting with the power of this matrix, not the other one, lies in our ability to embrace these four crucial discoveries which connect with our lives in unprecedented ways. So there is a narrative field that connects all of creation. This would be like the first discovery, let's say. The second one, this field acts as a container, a bridge, and a mirror for the beliefs we hold within. The third one, the field is not local. It's a holographic. It's part of ourselves connected to the others, and its part reflects the whole on a smaller scale. The fourth discovery is that we communicate with the field throughout language and emotions. So, again, mind what you say, mind what we do, and especially mind the words you speak. So, it's our power to recognize and apply these realities that determine everything from our healing to the success of our relationships, careers. Ultimately, our survival as a species might be directly connected to our ability and willingness to share life affirming practices that stem from unfilled quantum well-being. So, yeah, I mean, we all know that the more time we spend in the presence of people, places, and things around us, the more comfortable we feel with them. For most of us, walking around or leaving a room obviously make us feel much better than walking into a hotel room to another city. So no matter how new the hotel is, with all the latest fashion and amenities, it doesn't feel like being at home. When we experience something like that, our comfort comes from tuning into the subtle energy that balances us within our wall. We call the balance resonance, right? And this happens with people, this happens with doctors, this happens with actually our beliefs, for instance, that we can actually heal. But to do that, you have to first feel at home within yourself as well, and put the intention into thinking that you actually have the ability and to how to heal. No matter what you do in the physical part of things, supplements, changing your diet, all these things are really important. But it comes along working with all this and believing that this is what's happening within you, and this change or this click moment has to happen with everything happening at once. So almost universally we share the feeling that there is something beyond what our eyes can see. Somewhere deep in the midst of our ancient memory, we know that we have magical and miraculous powers within us. So from childhood we fantasize about abilities to do things that are beyond the realm of reason or logic. But why not? While we are children, we haven't yet learned the rules that tell us that miracles cannot happen. Therefore, our mind is open to all these things. Therefore, kids heal so much faster. They do not have these belief systems yet, that we put upon them, that that's impossible, that that's not possible, that you're dreaming, that whatever. I had this a lot, people telling me, well, you have to see the reality, you're dreaming far too much. Well, you know what, I wouldn't be alive after what I survived if it wasn't for that. But believing that was possible, believing that I could actually do that, made me survive it and get to this point. So never underestimate the dreamers, right? So if the particles that constitute us can be in instantaneous communication with each other, exist in two places at once, live in the past as well as in the future, and even change history throughout decisions made in the present, then we can too. The only difference between these isolated particles and us is that we are composed of many of them. So, that's where the power of consciousness comes. So, yeah, now let's talk about healers and curing. No, curing and healing are distinct concepts. Curing involves erasing symptoms. Healing involves adding a state of wholeness. A whole person is whole despite having lost a leg, having the flu, or receiving a death sentence. A healer, in essence, is someone who helps another person realize their inherent wholeness, regardless of all appearance and results on treatment. So, therefore, no matter how incredibly sick the person is, no matter how even if you've been in a room with, which happens a lot in Lyme disease for I don't even know how long, you have to make the person understand and believe. You just have to go and remind them that they do actually have this power within them, because obviously when you're in that state you forget. You're no longer uh, capable of understanding that power, in fact, that's the reason why you're sick. You lost that capacity. So, that's where the healer comes in. A healer follows a code of honor that fosters healthy feelings, actions, thoughts, beliefs in the patient, which is really important, without compromising those same qualities in the healer. Being a healer always involves being wise, acting wisely. However, being an energy healer, whether allopathic, complementary, Eastern, Western, spiritual, or otherwise, involves knowing what energy is and understanding its effects. So, a professional energy worker must decide how to act in terms of techniques, beliefs, and ethics, and so on. So, the essence of a healer is to help and not to harm. But there are many, extremes that we can analyze, So, that's the mastery. That's what it is about. So, many psychic abilities are used in energy healing. Everyone's born with various psychic abilities. As countless studies have revealed, these gifts can be developed and used to make intuitive assessments of physical and physiological problems. No, as within everything in life, you won't be an expert in all forms of intuition, nor will you be able to use your gifts in every situation. So practitioners often have experience in some areas and less knowledge in others. So, you know, and there are many, many forms in which this can be, Reiki, distance healing, um, you know. So again, it's at the base something about believing in the person and believing and understanding where all this comes from and how it works, and mainly making the patient understand that this power is within them and it's always there and it's always been there, and they cannot take it away from you no matter how sick you are. So this person is that, when you're really really sick, you lose the sense of dignity within you as well. And many times, because you feel like that, people like a mirror treats you that way. They no longer see you as a person, they no longer see you as a whole human being. They only see a sick person, which is no longer capable of doing what they did, which, and that's beyond sad. This is what we need to break, and that's where, healers come. So how comes these methods work? It's difficult to know exactly, but one possible explanation is that energy fields can overlap and interconnect from one person to the other. The existence of biofields is not because they have been evidenced by the most modern technology. So yeah, there's this interconnectivity and vibration going on. We cannot deny it. No, there are many human energy fields. This includes physically quantified magnetic and electromagnetic fields generated by cells, tissues, organs, and the body as a whole. But there are also biofields as well as other subtle energy bodies, our channels, and the different aspects of our being. So yeah, um, I mean, it's crazy that The word etheric is often used interchangeably with terms like subtle or aura. In fact, they are independent etheric fields around any vibrating life unit, from a cell to a plant to a person, as well as a specific etheric field connected to the body. So the term etheric is derived from the word ether, consider a medium that interpenetrates space, transmits transverse energy waves when associated with the entire auric field. It surrounds the whole body as a separate energy body. So, so yeah, basically it's a point of view on itself. It's another one that we actually forget. No, we don't see Wi-Fi connections, do I? I mean, we don't. But yet they are there. You are getting internet, right? So that's more or less how it works. And sometimes that ether is denser and sometimes it's wider, so you can communicate better. But we cannot deny these things are happening anymore at this point, right? So for healing, and if you actually put the intention in everything you do, like say the magnesium that you're taking in the morning, anything you do, anything you say, and the intention you put into it is gonna amazingly work. There are many studies about, let's call doctors or nurses, that, for instance, I can't remember in which war it was, but they ran out of anesthesias basically or anything like that. So they had to use the power of just basically telling the patient that they were being given some sort of anesthesia, but they didn't. But the intention and the belief that they were saved their lives. And guess what? They actually got anesthetized, or however the hell that's called. But they felt it. So the placebo effect is far beyond. We should do another video just on that, because that alone is huge, right? So there are many distinct biofields that regulate mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical functions. The following list is a biofield based and on the work of Barbara Ann Brennan and other researchers. So the physical field has the lowest frequency. It regulates the human body. The etheric field is a template for the physical structure that surrounds it. There is also etheric field for the soul. The emotional field regulates the emotional state of the organism. The mental field processes the idea, thoughts, and belief. The astral field is linked between the physical and the spiritual planes, and it's independent of time and space, which is important. The etheric template exists only on the spiritual plane and contains the highest ideas of existence. The celestial field accesses the universal energies and serves as a template for the etheric fields. The causal field governs the highest levels of existence. So, for over 100 years, some scientists have investigated and defended the existence of the aura, the field that surrounds our entire body, thus adding to the knowledge already possessed by our ancestors. These fields consist of multiple bands of energy called auric layers and auric fields, which encompass the entire body, connecting us to the outside world. So, Kabbalists call it an astral light. Christian painters, call it halos of light, and so on. So we are not discovering anything. We are basically remembering everything. And since many of us are going through all these odysseys, trying to heal ourselves with all this, stuff going on, basically toxicity, it's there for a reason as well. So if you've been year sick, if you've been in all these odysseys, just try to remember that as brutal as it is, there it's happening for a reason. And consider yourself lucky that you have the chance, even though it sounds horrible when you're living it and you might lose years, as I did, to discover this. Because after that, even though you have and you need the support and to maintain it and to trust, this is the other part. Trust in the faith that everything will be fine. Because we need so many things to survive and maintain that we constantly panic about this control situation that many times we don't have any control about. But believing that there is like an order, because there actually is a plan, and actually you are where you are supposed to be, helps a lot in the healing process, helps a lot in all this kind of worry cycle situation. But then also it helps a lot, and it's the basic of everything, whether you're doing physical work or not, to believe that the body is capable of healing itself, that you are the healer, and that you are the main star in the process, not the doctor. The doctors might be there to help you go and guide you through the process, the healers, the therapy, whoever the hell it is, that's reflecting you, what you're trying to fix in yourself is the helper. But you are the actual healer, and your body is capable of actually restoring and healing itself, and also, mirroring in the outside world what you need to do so. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.